And 3, 2, 1, go. Hey guys, you're tuned into Chaotic TV. We are in Game 5 of this ZVZ Best of 5. We're on Cloud Kingdom right now, and in the top right position of Cloud Kingdom, you see the Red Zerg. He took the early lead at 2-1 in the series, and his opponent came back in the last game, but he is the player from Team MTW. He is Dimaga. And his opponent, the Frenchman from Team Evil Geniuses, he is Stephano. With good luck, have fun, Dimaga. And he was able to use his Mutalisks so perfectly in the last game, taking the Mutalisk lead with an earlier Spire by about 2 minutes than his opponent, Dimaga. And he was able to take the lead in Mutable versus Mutable. Now, a little bit of a half extractor trick gets him an earlier drone for the cost of 6 minerals. Stephano is going to probably use that to, I don't know. I mean, it might be just a style trick of his, and Dimaga is actually going to go down for that 14 spawning pool whenever he gets 200 minerals. And Dimaga is going to do the 14 spawning pool. Stephano looks like he's already going to skip that and go for the 16 hatch that we see at a lot of really high level Zerg players. It actually worked out well for him in the last game, both players taking those divergent paths for the extra hatchery, and he's gone for the Zergling block, or excuse me, drone block, just to delay Dimaga's hatchery even more. You don't normally see this. You see this between Protoss and Zerg a lot, or Terran and Zerg with a very rare engineering bay block, but you don't normally see it in his ZVC. Stephano's going to lose this drone if he's not careful. One more hit. Oh, he gets out a little bit too far. Probably was at home macroing or something like that, and Dimaga takes the opportunity to drop his own hatchery. He is 30 in-game seconds behind Stephano's hatchery right now, and that's probably not going to be such a big deal, especially with the spawning pool being after hatch, because Dimaga is going to be able to get his queen out earlier, just a few seconds, than Stephano's first queen, and he will get that extra larva inject. So they end up with the same number of structures, but Dimaga goes for the early spawning pool in favor of safety, and the earlier queen for that first 4 extra larva inject. And we're going to have to wait and see where their higher tech paths go, because they're not going to build anything really until after their lair. Now we see the hatchery popping out for Stephano, and the hatchery for Dimaga is still 30 seconds behind Stephano's, but Stephano is going to catch up with these extra larvae. With, sans queen, he didn't get his queen out early, but he's going to use the extra automatic larva that you get from having an earlier hatch to take the lead in the drone count, it seems right now. Stephano is actually going for the metabolic boost before Dimaga. Dimaga having his only one harvester in his extractor at this point. I guess he's not really worried about getting that metabolic boost at Zergling speed any quicker. He's in favor of having a higher mineral income, and is actually doing a drone transfer because he's got 16 on his main line. And that's most saturation. If you have 3 bases with 16, you're going to have a huge amount of income. And 6 drones per each base's Vespine income, you're going to have the most saturated. And I think that's, what's that, 16 plus 16 plus 16? That's 48 plus 18 drones. That's 64 drones, and if you have a couple extra for some emergency spines, it's going to be just perfect. Both players going for the Baneling Nest and the safety spine crawler. Stephano's is a little bit early, so he might put on some just slightly earlier aggression if he decides to save up his larva right now and go for a huge build right after that. Right after his Baneling finishes, but he's only got 2, which leads me to believe these are a little bit defensive Banelings. Dimaga has done some earlier pressure in the last couple of games, and Stephano's going to see that his I don't know if the animation continues if a Zergling comes in mid animation, but he may or may not have seen that this baneling nest just finished. The spine was already up, so that was the big point for Stephano. These two players are exactly the same right now. Stephano is actually dropping a Roach Warren, and he may go for the double Evo chamber that he's done 2 games ago on Ohana for some earlier upgrades. But right now he's probably building that evolution chamber for some safety spore crawlers maybe, or just to get a Roach timing attack with +1 missile attacks, which we see missile attacks being researched right now. Now the layers are inbound for both players, not meaning to rhyme, as well as the third bases are dead even in 21. They're 10 seconds apart. That's negligible in this game. So both players are continuing their convergent type setup, but the unit count is a bit different. Dimaga having a higher drone count, and he's actually coming across with these Zerglings to try to snipe the third again. It's worked for him in the past, and he's going to continue it with some baneling backup between these Zerglings, and I think Stephano just doesn't have enough here. He's got enough banelings, but unless he gets perfect hits on all 6 of these banelings, he's going to be kind of SOL. Now 2 banelings takes out 5 banelings of Dimaga, and that's a huge win for Stephano. Dimaga having to, pause his attack and build a couple more banelings just to continue the aggression. Their Zergling count is, I think, 2 higher for Stephano, but Dimaga distracts him by running into the main base, and now these reinforcement banelings are going to be able to snipe this third hatch if he targets them directly, but I think he's going to use the banelings on the Zerglings, and that's a huge amount of lost Zerglings for Stephano. Dimaga coming in with these 2 banelings. He's going to try to snipe some of these drones, but he's not going to be able to get them. These 2 banelings are going to be able to pick off 4 drones with that, and the Zergling's going to get the queen, which is a huge win right now. And it looks like we're going to have some reinforcement Zerglings coming in to just continue the damage and snipe this third, killing the production of Stephano. The Roaches of Stephano coming in. He went for the Roaches again. That is just the style difference between these 2 players. The Zerglings can easily outrun these Broodlings, and they're just probably going to come in towards this top entrance, and the Roaches are going to be there, but there might be too many Zerglings. They're going to be able to pick off at least a number of these Roaches, but now Dimaga takes them home, and the third base is down for Stephano. Stephano using all of these, or almost all of these larvae for Overlords. It's actually a decent choice, because if he set them up as drones, they could be picked off by Dimaga, but since they are Overlords, Dimaga is not going to be able to attack them, at least with the Zerglings. We see Mutalisks on the map right now, which is a difference because Stephano went for that ground-based Roach type tech. You don't ever see Mutalisks and Roaches at the same time, and it looks like Dimaga is going to use this opportunity to snipe some of these Overlords, but the huge transfuses on Stephano's side and the pick-off of a number of these Mutalisks is actually a huge hold for Stephano. He only lost 1 of those Overlords, but since he built so many with those extra larvae, he's perfectly fine on the extra supply count. Dimaga is going to clean up all of the ones on the map. There's 1 left in the bottom right. He actually has Overlord speed. He's probably planning to do some drops. If he gets Ventral Sacks, it's going to be a huge difference. But since all of these Mutalisks are on the map, Dimaga might be able to spot any drop attempt, and Stephano is going to have to get really lucky with the fungal of these infestors. Stephano going for his Roach infestor style that he's oh so proficient with. Dimaga is going for that Ling Muta Baneling setup that he has, but it seems like he might be doing a little bit of a tech switch of his own. We see some Roaches on the map, and the Mutalisk production has stopped. He's going for the Roach speed, both players are, and if we see an infestation pit, we do indeed see the pathogen glands coming down for Dimaga. Right as that is about to get halfway done, he's going to drop a number of infestors. You see this huge bank, and he drops them all right now. 8 infestors coming out, and by the time they finish spawning, the pathogen gland upgrade will have just finished, giving all of these infestors of Dimaga that extra fungal growth on the outset, the extra 25 energy that they need. Stephano is going for, or he's already got pathogen glands, but we don't see a hive coming out of either player. Dimaga going for the earlier Hydralisk den that we saw in that first game on Daybreak, which was a kind of a long game. and we might actually see a long game out of these two players as well, both of them going for a fourth base before any real attack. I mean, there was the Mutalisk harass from Dimaga and the sniping of the third base by Dimaga, but the supplies have evened out. Both players at 150. The supply is available to be used by Stephano. Dimaga was a little bit supply capped. He's got a number more overlords to compensate for that, and the infestor count is actually right now 10-8 in favor of Dimaga. So his later production, he's caught up and taken the lead in the infestor count that we saw him behind in on the first game. Stephano has this Hydralisk then selected, and he was waiting for the Groove Spines to come in before he could use it. He didn't have enough money, but the Spore Crawler has been moved and is continuing to be moved by Stephano, because this is not enough Mutalisk to take out a Spore Crawler by itself without losing at least one. A big fungal from the baited Spore Crawlers, and the Spore Crawlers just going to town on these fungal Mutalisks. The chain fungal's coming down and killing all of these Mutalisks, but that also does free up supply for more Hydralisks, Infestors, and Roaches on Dimaga's part. The supplies have evened out at about 180, and we are really just waiting to see these two maxed armies go at each other's throats. The Hydralisks are continuing to be produced for Stephano, but the Carapace upgrade might be Stephano's lead. We have seen him take a higher upgrade in every game that has mattered, but it didn't actually help him on Ohana when he had 2-2 versus the 0-1 of Dimaga. Dimaga just was able, with a higher economy from an earlier third base, completely wreck all of Stephano's units, and some poor positioning on the Hydralisks of Stephano just completely allowed Dimaga to get a better position and wipe out all of the Hydralisks before they were able to do the high DPS they're so famous for. Dimaga checking everywhere for any kind of hidden base on Stephano's part, leading to Zerglings here to wipe out any drone that comes by. The creep is moving forward for Stephano, as might actually help him and hinder him at the same time. If he's able to hold on to the creep, he'll be fine, but if the creep is not extended through here and he tries to take his units through here, while Dimaga uses the creep to speed all the way into the natural or into the third base, doing a little ring around the rosy with these two entrances, Stephano might be in a little bit of trouble. The hives are coming down for both players because they need those extra upgrades. Carapace level 2 coming down for Stephano, that's a big win for him, and when that finishes, he's going to be able to start missile attacks level 3. Both players have a macro hatch. The positioning is a little different, but that's also a style choice. The hive is finished, and missile attacks level 3 is probably going to drop for Dimaga as soon as he recognizes that the hive is done, and it does, and the Greater Spire starts at the same time, so we're going to see some Broodlords out of Dimaga. This is the first time we've seen Broodlords in this ZVZ, but it looks like the Spire is coming down for Stephano, and Stephano's going to start his own Broodlord tech when his hive finishes. He completely decided he didn't need mutas or corruptors in this game. He went for the early infestor, which will be the backbone of his army until all of these broodlords get started. Now, the hive is finished. Ventral Sax is not finished, but he does have burrow, and I do believe that Dimaga has not researched burrow or overlord speed, so any of these overlords on the map will be cleaned up by the earliest of Stephano's air units. Now the counts for both of these players are 15 infestors to 12 infestors, and this lead is actually in Stephano's favor right now. He's also got a Hydralisk lead and a Roach lead, so the army is actually just well in Stephano's favor. Stephano, until he gets these he's going to have to sacrifice some of the supply to build the broodlords that he really wants to. Dimaga is starting to build some broodlords right now. He's got 6 of them on the way, and he's probably going to start sacrificing the... Oh, that's what he did. He built all of these spines so that he could build those broodlords. The drone count is in favor of Dimaga, but he also was probably a lot higher when he built all of these spines. The spines are a great way to use up the huge bank that you see from both these players, and building up all of these spores and then canceling them gives Dimaga the over 200 cap that he was looking for, and he was able to build 6 more infestors with that extra supply. Stephano sending in small groups of roaches for a quick fungal bait, and he knows now that there are broodlords on the map. Stephano is going to keep sending in all these small groups of Hydras and stuff like that, and the Hydras, because Hydras and Roaches just don't do anything against Broodlords, he's going to need all of the Corruptors that he's got coming in, but he is continuing to get those Zerg missile attacks level 3 because the Infested Terrans that he's going to throw down between these two huge maxed out armies are going to be a crucial type thing. They are free energy, they are freely replaced, and it looks like this Spine Crawler has killed a number of drones, or was that just a little side route of Roaches from Stephano? Stephano continuing to sacrifice a number of Roaches, and it's just like little engagements. He wants to make sure that they lose, and he tries to be as economic as he can. He tries to snipe off one of these Infestors, as you can see from the health bar, but he does not have the Spine Forest that Dimaga has, and I think Stephano, you need to spend some of your extra money, man. The drone count is in Dimaga's favor, so he has the much higher economy right now, and he's able to build that Spine Forest without any recompense, and it looks like all of the Infested Terrans are on the map right now, and the Infestors are going to continue pushing them out, but it's going to be free energy Broodlings versus free energy Infested Terrans on both sides. And it looks like the Infested Terrans are not going to be able to move forward to snipe off any of these Broodlords, which is the whole goal of them. I mean, they are being stacked for Broodling tanking, but these Infestors on Dimaga's side seem to have a little bit more energy, and there's just more of them. Now, Stephano, the Broodlord count for both players is 10 to 7 in Stephano's favor, so he's probably going to be able to repel this push eventually. All of these Hydras moving forward are starting to take some Broodling damage, and some remaining Infested Terrans are doing what they can to hold off the push forward of all these Hydras, but you can see the supply eke down for Stephano. He did push forward, he did push Dimaga back, but he also lost a number of the Infestors on his side. They were all target fired by Broodlings, by those Infested Terrans of Dimaga. So Dimaga has a huge count in Infestors, 18 to 2. That is 9 times the amount of Infestors for Dimaga. Dimaga has a lesser count of Broodlords, but Broodlords aren't everything, people. They do throw out all of those great Broodlings, and they do heavy damage, but Dimaga has taken this time, and he used his huge bank to start moving some of his extra Spine Crawlers forward. He's kind of sacking and leaving open his main and his natural, because they're not as crucial as a mining base will be when he transfers drones over to this base. 6th hatch, I think, and Stephano's 6th has already been spotted, but I don't know if he knows about... No, he doesn't know that Stephano's is there for sure. He does see all of the transferred spines, and he sees the huge amount of army from Dimaga, so he knows that there's something over there. He could probably just guess that there's now a new base, but Stephano's 4th is actually not all being mined at all, and his 3rd is very sparsely populated. His natural is sparsely as well. The upgrades are about even for both players. Now they're going for ground carapace and air attack at the same time as melee attack, because they want all the Broodlings to be able to do damage that they can do. Now, Adrenal Glands would be a great upgrade for either player, but since they're not utilizing as many Zerglings as you would think, because they're already maxed out and they have to just keep remaxing with all these Broodlords, the Broodlord count actually is at 12 and 13, so they are even up, but the Infestor count is still highly in favor of Dimaga. So he's going to have all of those Infested Terrans and the Fungals on whatever units that Stephano can throw out. So the Adrenal Glands is actually coming down for Stephano. He might start utilizing some of those Zerglings, and his Spine Forest is starting to be built, but at his 5th base we see some Roaches just moving into the line here, and they're going to start taking out a number of these drones. The drone count is actually in favor of Stephano right now, but it might be even up a little bit by Dimaga. Dimaga's coming in, and he starts that right as he moves into his main army, and you see again on the ramp the Infestor Broodling free damage battle that's going on right now. The Corruptors are heavily in favor of Stephano, so he's going to be able to move forward, but the Fungals of Dimaga are going to be able to wipe out any of these Corruptors that move too far forward, as well as these Infested Terrans. So now the Infested Terrans are just going to be waiting to die, and they're trying to run away. I don't exactly know why. I think they're just returning to their originally spawned positions, but the Infestor count is still heavily in favor of Dimaga. Some reinforcing Infestors coming out for Stephano, but it's not going to be such a big deal when they get into the next battle, because he's not going to have as much energy as all of the infestors of Dimaga, who most of whom are at their max levels. Now we see an attack by Stephano. He killed off the Spine Forest, but not before losing most of his army, and Stephano has now lost a huge amount of resources comparatively, or not huge, but it's enough to perturb him, and Dimaga has to rebuild some of the spine crawlers in his base. No, these infestors are still walking all the way around. They're actually unsupported by these broodlords and corruptors, so if Dimaga had the sense to move across and Stephano didn't get his infestors out of the way, he could have lost them all and just been completely screwed in this game. The spine wall is continuing to be built by Dimaga. He's got so much more of a bank compared to Stephano because he had such a huge drone count early on in the game. And now we see a bunch of spores being built so that Dimaga continued to do that plus 200 max that we see. And he's using that extra supply to build 5 more broodlords. He has 18. He's going to have 18 on the map against the 13 of Stephano. And that's going to be a huge problem for him, but the corruptor count is a little bit in Stephano's favor. Not anymore, now that all of those spawn for Dimaga, and Dimaga's going to start pushing across the map again, using this extra creep and these to push these queens forward so that they can do some transfuses on all of these so expensive units. Stephano is moving in with his own units to try to block this attack, but Dimaga has just so much more army right now, 30 more supply, and the attacks are going off between all of these player units, and the corruptors move forward to start sniping off all of the broodlords. Some fungals go down on the corruptors and on the broodlords, and the push forward from the infested Terrans is actually better for Dimaga now, but it was earlier in favor of Stephano. Now they're starting to snipe off some of these air units. The fungals are coming down from Dimaga's infestors, and the higher count from Dimaga is actually really taking advantage right now. The extra 330 supply was enough for the broodlords to just completely overwhelm what little ground forces Stephano had. Now Stephano is down 60 supply. He has lost his 5th base. What little mining he had there has completely been shut down, and Dimaga continues to push across the map with a 70 supply lead. Now we have a bunch of infestors coming out for Stephano, but there is not going to be any saving this. I don't think he did push across with all of the remaining hydras and infestors. He pulled them out of the battle early and he thought he was going to lose, but then he ran into the spine forest, it looks like, and now he's off creep with these very slow units because he didn't bring it around, because you don't normally see creeps out that much in ZVZ, as we've discussed before. And now Dimaga is going against this spine shrubbery, if you want to call it, of Stephano, and it's going to lose yet another base, and Stephano is going to lose all of this production that an extra queen-injected hatchery will give you in Stephano right now. Oh my god, buddy. I feel for you. You're down 60 supply and you're doing this desperate push across the map. You're going to be able to take out this 4th base, which is mining a little bit, but not so much from Dimaga. Dimaga's just got such a bigger army that you're going to be, that these attempted base raids is just going to fall flat, I think. Dimaga only has 2 bases to build, and Stephano, even with his high DPS hydras, these infestors can't attack buildings directly, so the base race is going to have to be done by these free units of infested Terrans. If he spends too many too early, he's just not going to be able to do anything. Now, I don't really have to commentate what's happening in Stephano's base. It's called utter destruction, and we're just seeing everything fail by Stephano. Unfortunately, he does take out bases 3 and 4 of Dimaga, but Dimaga has a mining base down here. He's got an extra hatchery compared, or an extra 2 hatcheries compared to Stephano. Stephano's going to be able to take out this natural hatchery and some of the tech. A huge amount of infested Terrans are coming down to snipe this greater spire, and the hive that is powering all of Dimaga's forces, but Dimaga's got too much on the map right now, and all he has to do is protect this spine forested 5th base, and Stephano doesn't have enough ground units to even break through the spines by themselves, let alone with all of these overlords, or excuse me, broodlords and whatnot. And the Corruptors here are just going to continue to wreak damage against any air attack that comes by for Stephanos. And Dimaga had left some of his Hydras in there so that they could just continue to attack, and Stephano has been completely revealed right now. He has no more hatcheries. This is all of the army that he's going to be doing, and unless the Broodlords are on a move command for 30 seconds for chain fungals, I think even a fungal would be able to stop the Broodlords and allow their automatic Broodling AI to start doing an attack. Now Stephano continues to move across the map with all of these infestors, but again, he's just kind of out of luck for this game. I think he's just down 70 supply, and all these Broodlords, he's got as many Broodlords as Stephano has Hydras. He's actually got more Broodlords than Stephano has Hydras. He's got more infestors than Stephano has Hydras. And there's a one infestor right here that's going to be caught out in the open. I think it was there for what reason, I don't exactly know. Stephano's killing off this creep that is giving Dimaga vision, but it's actually going to hinder what few Hydras he has left. I guess it's not really such a big deal. This Overseer is going to get picked off by these Corruptors, and I think we're going to have a last battle up here in the top left between these two players. The Fungals are coming down against these Corruptors. Corruptors can't attack around anyway. It's a waste of a Fungal. They're there to do. You see the corruption gas, like or fog around all of these infestors, which is going to give them plus 20 damage taken, plus 20% damage taken against these Broodlords. And a well played. Good luck out of Stephano. Man, just completely cornered in the top left side of Cloud Kingdom. We have these two epic Zergs finishing this series 3-2. I loved this one to a game 5, and oh my goodness, I had such a joy casting this. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed casting it. From Chaotic TV, I am chaotic, and I implore you to watch these players because it's so much fun to watch just high-level play between these two Zergs. People bag on it, but I love it. So, we're going to bring you another best of 5 from the Numericable Millennium House Cup in just a couple of minutes. Hope you guys enjoyed watching it. Cheers.